Well, hey, hi there. Hi. Welcome here. Welcome to Nashville. That's where I am. You're not really here, but via the magic of YouTube, here we are together, sort of. I wonder if there's some quantum physics and all of that. You watching sometime in the future, connecting with me at this time in your past. I have to check. I have to look into that. But welcome here. Be Catholic? Question mark. Why is it called that? Because we're looking at Catholicism. Everything that I've said to this point is considered Catholic, which is odd, having a long background in evangelical Protestant theology. It's curious. I went the longest time. I would not even look at it. Nope, not even. So, but if you've come this far with this channel, you know all about it. So we're looking at basically what Catholic teachings is. Not necessarily everything is dogma or doctrine, but we're looking at some things that, the early church fathers understood and proclaimed throughout the generations. St. Athanasius, going to say it over and over. Doctor of the church, early church father. He was quoted to say, God became man, that man might become God. Or, in other words, divine, share in the divine nature, Pretty awesome. How on earth hasn't that been the major news in the world throughout the centuries? I don't know. Because what? My goodness. There is no information that, in my mind, that could be possibly worth more. Having a relationship with the creator of the universe. He literally owns everything. It's all his. And he's our dad. We're inherited. We're princes and princesses. Princesses. But those are facts. Those are the facts. We are. That's some pretty powerful stuff, What could be possibly worth more? Having God's help? The guy who created everything and can do anything outside of infringe upon someone's free will, which he chooses not to. What on earth? That's incredible. I came across this, as you know, if this isn't your first episode, I came across this at the age of 17. I was like, oh, this is it. I need to figure this out. Everything else is secondary to this, trying to figure out. And it was difficult because not a lot of people back then were even thinking about it, let alone talking about it, and except Catholicism, which I wasn't looking at that time. So here we are, delving into the most amazing information in the history of the world. Welcome here. We are in Series 3, Episode 3. Yeah, 3. Whew. We got a bunch to get done in this series, as you probably know to this point. If you're new to the channel, please go back to Episode 1 of Series 1, because we're building on some very mind-blowing stuff. And if this is the first time you're hearing about it, it's going to be difficult to process this. We've done a lot to build the foundation to this point of not only were we made to be like our Father in heaven, but we're also made to talk to him, dialogue with him. Yeah. And we've proven all of that with the receipts through the first 2 series. Right now, what we're doing in this series is we're building our collection of tools. We are addressing the stuff that we need to get together in order to really be successful in that endeavor. And if we're a certain way, as we looked at over the last 2 episodes, dealing with humility and pride, humility is the tool, the greatest tool in developing a relationship with the King of all things. Yes, that's what he says. Take it up with him. Humility. That means figuring out, we need to figure out we are children. We can barely, if you a dad to a toddler We could barely tie our shoes. We can't even barely tie our shoes. We're working on it. That's how advanced we are in our natural state. I mean, we can soil our diapers. Hopefully you're out of diapers by the time you're tying your shoes. But maybe if you're advanced in your development, maybe you were tying your shoes when you were just learning. Well, I don't know. But so, I mean, we got to figure out who we really are, what we are in the equation here. What kind of heads? We can't come to God going, "Hey, I'm all that." Yo, what's up, bro? Jesus. No. Nuh-uh. We got to come with as little children. Jesus said it clearly. Unless you come as a child, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. He used the word never. Not at all. Nuh-uh. So we're working on being as a little child. We want to dialogue with God. We want his help. What's the biggest tool that we need is humility, the characteristic of humility. So we looked at that in episode 1 of series 3. In episode 2, we looked at what pride, especially through what God said through King Solomon in Proverbs relating to pride. And the major problem it is, major in having dealings with our Father, our Daddy. So we successfully got through those 2 episodes. We're now in the 3rd episode, still carrying that forward. I want to go from Solomon to the guy who told Solomon that information. His name is Jesus of Nazareth, right? Via the Holy Spirit back then. So Jesus gets into this a lot because it's important. In fact, it was the first major proclamation of his when he started his formal public ministry. We know that, or you might know that, as the Beatitudes. And it's all about humility. That's the essence of the whole thing is be humble, be humble, be humble, be humble, be humble. Don't be prideful because it'll be the problem. And so I want to address that today in this episode. We're going to go to that place. Let's get right at it. I think today, any other business to address before that? I don't think so. My wee puppy seems to be off sleeping, so we're good there. No, let's go get it. Let's bring an amazing attitude right now to this information. Now God's omnipotent, obviously. He knows everything. He knows everything that you think and everything that you do. And that's a powerful mental position to a little tool in the toolbox of understanding that. Our attitude is so critical. And we're going to look at that in the episodes to come. So let's get our attitude right. Because at any second of any moment, he can literally do something incredible. Give us a revelation, give us an aha moment, relative to this stuff, because he wants us so seriously to know it, right? So let's position ourselves in a way that we're open. Let's be as humble as we can. We're all at varying degrees of humility and dealing with pride in different ways. We're all different. But our attitude towards wanting to get over our pride and develop humility, that's the thing that God gets excited about. Our dad just goes, we have kids when they got a great attitude and they want to learn and help and be, as a parent, if you have kids, you're just so proud. You're just like, yes, I love this. This is so awesome. My child or children, are excited to learn. Let's bring the best that we can, that type of attitude to this information today, and let God's Holy Spirit or Spirit of Holiness do what he wants to do. He's sovereign. He's in charge. We just say, yes, please. He goes, I'm right in there. Let's do that as we look at this information. And remember, it's the creator of the universe speaking. I know I bang this drum regularly, but we have to have an openness to let this information really rewire the way that we look at things. This world has damaged us so badly. The cultures that we grown up in, the school that we went to, and I'm just talking normal, that whole approach, for the most part, secular humanism. Now some schools are, Christ-focused or God-focused or however you would like to put that, and that's awesome. And different. So I'm not talking about that. But the culture, though, television, internet, all that stuff of what we're dealing with, it's just really done a job on us. So we in order to unwind all that, we really have to batter that with a battering ram, hit that wall or that door of false information and rewire it so that letting the truth set us free. Free to do what? Free to be like our Father in heaven. Yeah. Okay. Let's do it. Matthew chapter 5, verse 3 through 12. Okay. Let's not, if you're someone who's been around this information before or regularly, it can get a bit, yeah, I got that. Let's not do that. Let's come from the I don't got that. Let's see what else I can get from that today. Okay? Jesus speaking. Come on, let's do this. Matthew 5, verse 3 through 12 goes like this. And let's keep in mind, this is about humility. Okay? Number one, biggest, most important thing. Verse 3. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. This is kind of like the new Ten Commandments. It's a whole other theological discussion, but Jesus is the new Moses, if you didn't know that, and the new Exodus. And these are like the new Ten Commandments. There's not 10 of them, but we could work 10 out of what we have here. Blessed are the poor in spirit, lowly, humble, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Okay. Right out of the gate. Let's look at the next one, verse 4. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. Yes, there's mourning for when someone passes. I don't think he means that. I think blessed are those who mourn means realizing and mourning how prideful we really are as a person. Mourning how corrupt we are, how broken we are. I think he means that more than anything, more than mourning because someone passed away. I don't think so. Let's do verse 4 again. Blessed are those who mourn or grieve, for they shall be comforted. Is that good news? I think that's good news. Come on now. Verse 5. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Meek, that's humble. Bridled strength is the definition of meek. It's like a big stallion that's been broken. We talked about that in the last episode. Once that horse has been broken, it's now rideable. You can now govern it. You can now instruct it. You can now have a relationship with it, right? Blessed are the meek, or blessed are those with bridled strength, for they shall inherit the earth. Again, this is about humility. When you're strong and prideful, you're that horse that no one's going to ride me. And you'll buck and buck and buck, and you'll throw cowboys all day. But if you're a horse that through that process is humbled and realizes, hey, this cowboy's my master. I need to submit. I need to give my allegiance to. That's what we're talking about. They shall inherit the earth. Verse 6. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be satisfied. See how this works? It's like God's like, hey, if you're this way, this is going to be the result. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, meaning righteousness, being right, being corrected, being correct in our nature. Those who realize how broken and corrupted we are. Hunger to be fixed, hunger to be righteous. They shall be satisfied. See how this works? We realize our condition or work on realizing our condition. God says, hey, I'm going to satisfy you. I'm coming. And I'm going to work with you on this, and you'll be satisfied through that process. Verse 7, blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Again, this is about humility. You realize, hey, I'm a prideful person, corrupt, in desperate need of fixing. And through that revelation, we see that in others and their condition. Not from a judgmental way, but from a realization that, hey, we all need help. I need to have mercy for that guy or that gal who's going through something and doing something I don't agree with. But of course they are. They're so broken and corrupted. And why wouldn't they be doing the wrong thing? Why wouldn't they be doing things that are going to harm them and those around them? That's mercy. That's realizing, hey, they've got the same condition I have, the same disease that I have. I don't want to judge them for being diseased when I'm diseased also, right? I mean, that's what pride does. Well, I'm less diseased. Jesus addresses that with a Pharisee at the temple praying. You know, the Pharisee's like, oh, God, I'm doing so well. Thank you so much. And thank you. I'm not like that lowly tax collector over there. That's the pride versus humility thing. Okay. Moving right along. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. If we can get to the point where we realize that we're not pure in heart, then God can make us that way. He can adjust us and change us, and through our humility, this is a statement of incredible humility. Those who are pure in heart, you can't get there. You can't have a pure heart without humility and a whole lot of it, right? That's ultimately the biggest characteristics of a pure heart is our humility. Again, he's nailing this humility thing. They shall see God. Those with a pure heart shall see God. Those who have a pure heart shall see God. I want to see God. Of course I do. He's my dad. I love that there's solutions to this problem. Provable, duplicatable solutions. I shared a bit of mine, one of my encounters with on this subject matter. It was Series 2, Episode 7. Feel free to go back and rewatch that, or if you haven't, go back to the beginning of Series 1 if you're still here. This stuff will sink in and hit a whole lot harder and better if you do that. Okay? Blessed are verse 8, blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Look, we're designed to see God, guys. Look, Jesus isn't kidding around. He's kicking this out. His first public statements. This is what he's saying. This is how you can see God. And he's talking to everybody, right? That's a great thing about all of this. Is it's not just for holy people, although he wants us to become that way. But this is medicinal, right? Jesus' whole ministry was medicinal. He's a doctor. Let's look at verse 9. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of God. That word peacemaker can mean a lot of things. I recommend meditating on this one, because peacemakers is such a huge thing, whether it's in our homes or in our communities. Or there's a lot of people not making peace out there. They want to make war. They want to battle. They want to fight. And I get that. I get the urge and the desire to do that. But when we do that through pride, we just cause destruction. If we do it through humility, then we're going to bring solutions with love and mercy, realizing that the people that we're wanting to go to war with are actually like us. You know, I was recently looking at an Old Testament verse. I forget where it was, but God does not take pleasure in the destruction of his enemies. Of course not. They're his children, right? Everyone that we want to be at war with are God's children. If you look at someone and want to go at war with or argue or whatever with them, that's actually God's child. This is why he's saying, blessed are the peacemakers, for they should be called sons of God and daughters of God. Peacemakers. This is about humility, guys. The more humble we get, the more peace we want to have. The more peace we want to be. Paul says, be at peace with all men, people, if possible. This is coming out of this specifically, this position of humility. Verse 10, blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. This is another attribute of humility. Of being a peacemaker, is we're by those who aren't like that, who are damaged and in desperate need of a doctor, will try and hurt us, will try and attack us on whatever level, depending on their corruption, depending on the advancement of their disease, depending on their level of pride. Pride is a foul and nasty thing, and it causes us to want to hurt, steal, and destroy. That's the whole issue with Satan, Lucifer. It's this whole thing, kill, steal, and destroy. That's pride. And that's the nature of those that aren't considering what we're talking about today and on this channel. Yeah, and they desperately need us. So we have to love them. Love your enemies is what Jesus said. What an impossible thing to do. Love my enemies? Yeah, because our enemies are God's children. And they need mercy. And they need us to be an example to them in a way that's going to be a help to them. There's a lot of people that, want to bang heads. Well, that's not going to get us there. That's just going to create enemies and create the division between enemies. So, blessed are those who are persecuted. Look, if they persecuted him for talking about this stuff, well, they're going to persecute us too. That's the nature of pride. When someone who's humble gets into an environment with someone who's prideful, that creates a certain spiritual soup. And it's oil and water. They don't go together, right? And until that person that wants to do the persecuting has a door open to realizing their pride and the benefits of humility, it's going to be persecution for us. There's so much that can be said on that to unpack that. I am not perfect, never have been. Working on it, though. You can tell by this channel, I'm working on it. I want that. And I need to perfect my humility. And so, since I got my feet on this path, I've had my own vices that have needed to be converted to virtues. So in that is the challenge of me, people wanting to persecute me. It's seeing, he's got these personal problems, imperfections, and yet he's also talking about humility. That creates an environment where persecution happens also. That's a big part, of people wanting to judge us, as we're moving in this stuff, going, oh, well, who are you to, work on your humility. And believe me, when you start developing this attitude, being a peacemaker, and guys want to butt heads, they're like, "Wow, who do you think you are?" Man, And of course, through our challenges with folks that are like that, we make mistakes too. It's been a terribly difficult at times path to try and work on this through my imperfections. It's the nature of the path, without question. But slowly over time, our vices turn to virtues, and the virtues get better and better, and people start to see us in a different light, which often can create more persecution, depending on who the people are. But I won't belabor that anymore. Last one, verse 11. Blessed are you when men revile against you and persecute you and utter all kinds of evil against you falsely on my account. Rejoice and be glad, for your reward is great in heaven. I want a great reward in heaven. For so men persecuted the prophets who were before you. It's an extension of, verse 11 is an extension of verse 10. Those two are coupled together. Blessed are you when men revile against you. There are some medicinal benefits to that. It does deal with our pride. It hammers it hard, especially when we know we need to be humble and to not persecute back. I'll tell you that really tempers a person's constitution, to say it without adult superlatives. Okay. This is again on the humility pride thing. I'm going to leave it there for now, and I hope you're getting some insights and some benefits to this. I encourage you, take the Beatitudes tonight and read them again, and think about the humility that Jesus is talking about, the critical thing that we need desperately, and the pride that we have, and probably most of which we can't even see yet, as to how deep that pride goes. It's why God needs us to have that stuff fixed. He wants to cohabitate and have a family, and wants us to be with him forever and forever. And this pride thing is gotta go. It's gotta go. And he'll do it. Thank goodness. Thank you for doing it. As difficult as the process could be at times, this whole persecution thing is no fun. Sometimes we deserve it, and sometimes we don't. But regardless, we're God's children. And so God's going to be there covering our backs, covering our six, and thankfully, he's always there, always in every instance of persecution. I think about guys in the New Testament persecuted. God was right there with them going, come on, you can do it. You can do it. Don't hit back. Don't swing back. Tell the truth in love. Don't tell the truth in anger and pride. Tell the truth. That's a hard thing. Telling the truth with humility, because otherwise we're damaging people with it. Yeah. All right. Leaving it right there. Thanks very much for coming and hanging out with me today via YouTube. Do all the things that we're supposed to do on YouTube, like, subscribe, comment. Leave some use kindness when you comment. Even if you have concerns, please share those. If you have links to other things, share those, things to look at. And thank you very much, very, very much for being a part of this. And I will see you in the next episode. Bless you.